Nordstrom, and then I baked bread, thinking the fragrance of the bread would be a welcome conversation starter. I invited my neighbor, Gail Forey, over to join me when the Nordstroms came. Gail knew Kitty, and the two of them chatted in a corner of the living room while Mr. Nordstrom and I sat by the window. His legendary business prowess was evident as he patiently and thoroughly grilled me. Who was our attorney? Who was our fiscal agent? How did we plan to raise money? Had we secured our 501c3 tax exemption from the IRS? When did we think we would get it? And what exactly were our plans for the house? Mr. and Mrs. Nordstrom left that afternoon with fresh flowers and freshly baked bread. Mr. Nordstrom said he wanted to meet with me again when we had received our tax exemption, adding that if we had any troubles with it, I should call him because he had someone at the store who was both a CPA and an attorney and could surely help us. I made arrangements a few weeks later to meet with the Nordstroms again, with Harmony House Board President Andy Bell. Just as we were getting ready to leave for the meeting, my beeper went off. I had joined the Union Volunteer Fire Department and was often the only medical professional to respond to aid calls. I sent Andy on alone to meet with the Nordstroms, hoping I would be able to join him shortly, but it turned out to be a near-fatal accident. I didn't get home until late in the evening and fell into bed exhausted. As I was waking up at 7:30 the next morning, I heard knocking at the front door. It was Elmer Nordstrom, checking to make sure that I was okay. He also wanted me to take his truck and drive it to Swedish Hospital in Seattle, to which he was closely connected, to pick up a hospital bed and anything else we might need. If Andy or his friends were going to stay at Harmony House, they would need a hospital bed. He would call the CEO of Swedish to arrange for anything we needed, and it was clear that Andy had made an impression on me the day before. In truth, I was apprehensive about driving his truck all the way to Seattle, but Elmer kept calling. The supplies were waiting, and he wasn't worried about his truck. Summoning my courage, I drove to Swedish Hospital. When I got there, I was stunned to find the hospital's CEO waiting for me at the loading dock. They loaded the truck with a hospital bed and other equipment, and I headed back to Union, dazed at the Nordstrom's generosity. From that point on, Kitty Nordstrom took a great interest in Harmony House, an interest that continued until her death in 2000. The first time she came to Harmony House to have lunch with me, Kitty brought one of her favorite books, The Singing Creek Where the Willows Grow. I learned that when she found a book she liked, she bought 10 or 15 copies and gave them to her friends. A few days after our lunch together, she sent me a thank you gift, a dishwasher. Kitty said I wouldn't have time to be washing dishes with all the people who come to Harmony.
So, in order to keep on some kind of timeline, I'm going to fast forward here a little bit. When we have a cancer retreat, I often say, and I've said it so much that it's now on the back of a Harmony Hymn t-shirt, life is not about waiting for the storms to pass, it's about learning to dance in the rain. So we have a lot of learning to dance in the rain about here, whether it's raining or not, but it's really true that the part of the grit, other than, the property needed a lot of restoration, but the part of the grit that is the most relevant and at the heart of what we do is our mission to help people transform the experience of cancer. And my mom has been through a number of cancers, my sister has, I had a number of friends, and there's a story I'm going to ask Kobe to come up that really talks about opening to miracles, because it really had a huge impact on my life, my mom's life, my brother's life, all of us. And so Kobe is one of our faculty also, who is an expert in survivorship, the Brady program this morning. I'm really happy to have her here.
to read this. Opening to miracles. Opening to miracles. My mom has been a 3-time cancer survivor. Breast cancer in 1966 and again in 1999. In 1990, a routine dental checkup detected a tumor that was later diagnosed as malignant by an oral surgeon. We consulted with numerous doctors, a couple of whom wanted to hospitalize her immediately and perform radical neck surgery. Fortunately, we found Dr. Glenn Warner, who was Kitty Nordstrom's oncologist. He was viewed as unconventional, and there was controversy around him, but he was just what we needed at the time. He encouraged us as a family to get a grip on our stress. He said the cancer didn't come overnight, and we wouldn't take care of it overnight. So my folks went fishing, my brother and sister sought calming activities, and I did what relaxes me most. I headed to the garden. It was spring, and time to rototill. The hardest thing about rototilling is just getting the heavy, awkward machine started. Once I did that, however, I found I was having difficulty tilling in straight lines, as I had always done before. A question suddenly came to mind. Why straight lines? Internally, I granted the rototiller permission to go in any way it wanted and said that I would follow. I stopped hanging on so tightly and found that I was tilling in wide circles. Very soon, I realized I was making a circle garden, which years later became the garden. As I approached center, I had the realization that letting go of control and trusting the direction I was taking could be applied to so much more than this garden task. When our family regrouped to address Mom's cancer, we agreed upon a surgical procedure somewhat less radical than the doctors had suggested earlier. Nonetheless, it was a major surgery. I accompanied Mom to see the head and neck surgeon on the top floor of the Nordstrom Tower at Swedish. The surgeon examined my mother closely. He looked at her. He looked back at me. "You are weird," he said to us both. "I beg your pardon? What a peculiar thing for a surgeon to say to us." "You're weird," he repeated. "Take a look." I had seen the grayish-black tumor at the back of Mom's molars, but when I looked this time, all I saw was pink, healthy tissue. The tumor was completely gone. The surgeon couldn't believe it. He couldn't get us out of there fast enough because he didn't know how to deal with this latest development. If only he had felt comfortable enough to explore this example of spontaneous healing. If only he had asked, "What did you do? Tell me everything." Sadly, it was beyond the scope of his comprehension or his view of reality to do that. We were ecstatic, practically dancing with joy as we went down the elevator. We called my dad from the lobby. He was thrilled beyond words. We also called Kitty Nordstrom, and she invited us to come right over and celebrate. I tell this story often as cancer retreats. Miracles do happen. We hear about such things but never think they could happen to us. But they do. My mother experienced what was truly a spontaneous and complete remission. It opened my mind to all of the possibilities out there, and I hope her story can do the same for others.